we're honest in this program. We're honest with each other, the Gambler Gang. Like when I talk about Lamar Jackson, like I'm not talking about what took place against the Tennessee Titans. That game isn't fresh. Like the fact that he's 3-5 in the playoffs, like, okay, cool, fine. But when the game plays out as it did in the Buffalo Bills, it's so weird to me because I follow these people on social media and the way they talk about an Eagles game where it's like, you got to be perfect. Jalen Hurts can't take those sacks. Sacks happen, right? Like sometimes you drop back, you're trying to do too much, sacks happen. You got to be perfect. You can't do this. And then like the next game happens and you can't be critical of 2 turnovers by Lamar Jackson. I don't understand why that is, other than people are allowing the other stuff to come into play and they want to feel like they have to defend Lamar Jackson. Like, hey, man, I got news for you. There's a guy by the name of Aaron Rodgers. He's got 4 MVPs, 1 Super Bowl. Yep. That dude was an unbelievable quarterback, possibly the best quarterback I've ever seen play. And he's only got 1 Super Bowl to show for it, right? So he lost a ton. He lost one time to Eli Manning as a favorite at Lambeau Field. There are plenty of times that Aaron Rodgers has lost games in Green Bay as favorites. Like, it's okay to focus on that game. Just the mental gymnastics that people were doing, and then the just vomiting on air to the point that Dan Orlovsky, who walked it back saying, I'm sorry for calling people who want to be critical of Lamar Jackson losers. Like, no, you're the loser, bro. This game just played out for all of us to watch. And regardless of how it played out at the end of the second half, where they had an opportunity to tie the football game up, and Lamar balled out, Lamar was the best player on that field. No ifs, ands, buts about it. He still turned the football over, and Sean, it comes back to the big picture. You have to be perfect at this time of year or you're going home. You can't drop the ball and turn it over, and next thing you know, it turns into 7. You can't throw the ball up, and it's just a disaster of an interception when nobody was near it. You can't do those sort of things. Now, I get it. You want to talk about Lamar Jackson, what he's done in his playoff career, that's fine. But I'm not. I'm talking about what took place in that Buffalo game. And if they don't turn the football over, Mark Andrews included, they win that game. But they handed over points. Lamar Jackson is a huge reason why they lost that football game. Point blank. And it just bothers the hell out of me that you can't call it as is. What are we doing?
I mean, I'm a Lamar Jackson guy. I stylistically love the way he plays football. I think the strides that he's taken as a passer throughout his career are almost unrivaled. When we talk about, you can make an argument for this guy, one of the premier pocket passers in the league, when you add in all the what he can do with his legs and everything else. You also can't dodge the facts, and as a Lamar Jackson guy, that when you look at the side-by-side for him and Josh Allen from a playoff perspective, quite different outcomes here. That through the course of their career, again, as you mentioned, 3-5 is an overall record in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson has thrown in his entire career here 21 touchdowns and 15 interceptions in the playoffs. To compare that with Josh Allen, 33 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in the playoffs there. Now, I get stats aren't everything. And I also think, I still mostly view this as an overall good Lamar Jackson performance when we saw him on Sunday. For me, and I continue to say this, what defines a quarterback to me is when it is guts up time and this drive, make or break your season, what do you do? And Lamar Jackson did enough for his team there. It's a huge bummer that Mark Andrews dropped that ball. And frankly, no one probably feels worse about that than Mark Andrews. Now, granted, there was a minute 34 on the clock and Josh Allen was getting the football. That game was not over. It's probably more likely than not that Buffalo was driving down and putting that game away anyway. But the point being is Lamar did enough to put his team in a spot. But that does not excuse the earlier miscues. And that's certainly a part of this entire equation. So it's frustrating that I do feel like a Jalen Hurts conversation, certainly viewed under a slightly different lens here. But I don't think this is an automatic go chase Lamar Jackson, that he's a fraud or he's not good enough. He's still one of the premier quarterbacks in this league. Just so is Josh Allen, and he got the better of him on that night.